Hello, everybody. So this is Martha Hines with Living the One Light. And in this video, I want to talk really briefly about the magic and the medicine of the December solstice, or solstices in general. And related to that, I also want to make sure that you are aware that I'm holding a free solstice gathering that I would love to have any and all of you who would like to be there. It's going to be also recorded. It'll be live and recorded on December 21st at 10 a.m. Pacific. So please register at the link in this video if you would like to be there live or if you want the recording. And I'll say a little bit more about that in a second. But the related to that actually is what the spirit world is wanting me to convey. So what they're wanting to really name is that at any moment in time, I've talked about this before, the entire cosmos, all of existence within the time-space continuum, the stars, planets, galaxies, all of it, it is on a certain level an entire field of existence that is it's its own energy body, and it has a medicine to it. It has a way of holding life that is in complete radical balance and harmony of life itself, of existence, of source. So whenever we think of the cosmos, one of the ways that's more and more and more I'm being guided to think of all astrological, astronomical phenomena is that it is this medicinal holding container. And specifically with the solstices and the equinoxes, with certain alignments, that's the geometry of what is created by our Earth and the sun and planets, or, depending on the moon, depending on what exact astronomical alignment we're talking about, there's certain qualities or, some moments in time where that medicinal quality is especially highlighted for me. But one of the ones that comes alive every year so powerfully in the medicine that it holds, in a sense, and the sacredness, is the solstices. I think the solstices really are maybe my favorite days of the year, just in terms of inherently what they are on a physical level, energetic level. So the spirit world is really adamant that they want me to be holding this free gathering on the December solstice because of the way the magic that is created in the way that on the solstice, the Earth is aligned with our current pole star, which is Polaris, and the sun. And then what they show me also is that, there's a light grid of existence. And when the axis of our Earth is always, well, not always, not forever and ever, but right this minute is pointing at Polaris. And so there's this energetic connection with Polaris continuously at this moment in time. But at the solstice, our relationship to the sun, and therefore the relationship of the energetic of Polaris and the Earth and the sun, locks in a particular way. It stops for a moment, in a sense, energetically. And so there's this, it feels like a sacred pause on both of the solstices. And so it's in that sacred pause that then we can connect in with the light grid of existence in a very particular way. And, my human logical brain doesn't have a full explanation for this, but the spirit world is really adamant that this particular day, this particular moment, this particular energetic signature, the way that that the cosmos is lining up on the solstice is really magical and really potent, and and they want to essentially help us to align with this energetic light grid of ourselves, this earth, the pole star, the sun, which is also a star, of course, and then the light grid of existence, to come back into the oneness that we are on an energetic body level in a very particular way. And again, I don't know exactly what it is that they're wanting to say or do in this gathering, but again, regardless of the specifics, the point is that it's the energetic alignment of the cosmos on that moment that is particularly supportive of us. And so they're clear that, this, for example, this gathering needs to happen on that day. And yeah, it's like the wires, like the electric wires of ourselves and of Polaris and of the earth and the axis of the earth, the magnetic pole of the earth, and then our relationship to the sun and other things. It's like the wires get aligned perfectly, just perfectly, for a particular kind of light to bing, move through the wiring of us, and then for us to be held, so that beautiful, beautiful song, electric current of life can move in the way that it's needed to. Yeah, and so the last point I want to make about that is this really speaks to a broader point about astrology that feels really important to me. And it's just something I've been thinking about more and more, which is a lot of people look to astrological charts to predict, when should I fill in the blank? When should I hold a particular meeting, or when should I get married, or when should I, XYZ. And I think I'm sure there is validity in that. I'm sure that it works for some people. I'm sure it feels really good and supportive for some people in certain circumstances. And so if it does, absolutely, I honor that. For me, that doesn't work. It doesn't feel right. And so, for example, there's a meeting that's really important to me coming up, and I'm trying to decide between, this morning, I was trying to decide between two dates. So I looked at the astrological alignments, and I noticed that one of the choices of those two dates, the particular time, it is a astounding moment in terms of how it aligns with my own chart. And so I thought, oh, well, maybe this is when it's really meant to be. And then I thought, well, or maybe something else really amazing is meant to happen at that moment. And if I scheduled that meeting, maybe the other thing wouldn't have an opportunity to happen at that moment, right? So I feel like if I go at it with my brain like that, first of all, I can get into all kinds of pretzels with it. Second of all, when I'm looking at a chart, when my brain, my logical brain is looking at a two-dimensional wheel with certain points, which is only the most minuscule percentage of what actually is in existence and in the cosmos, I'm only picking up certain data points, and I'm thinking two-dimensionally. Whatever. The chart is two-dimensional, I should say, because often when I'm looking at a chart, I'm not thinking two-dimensional, actually, but the chart itself is two-dimensional. And like I said, the points themselves are this teeny tiny fraction of what actually exists. But when we go into our own feeling of the full energetics of just what's alive in the energetic field, that's when it all comes alive, right? So for example, if I look at a chart of the solstice, we can see all kinds of beautiful things. Like, for example, when I was looking at the chart of the solstice coming up next week, on December 21st, there's this incredibly beautiful earth trine between the sun at 0 degrees of Capricorn, the star Regulus, which is now moved to the 0 degrees of Virgo, and the moon, which will be at 0 degrees of Taurus. That's so beautiful. I mean, so that right there is, an example of something really beautiful I can see on that 2-dimensional chart. Absolutely. But what I would be missing, if that's all I was paying attention to, is that when I go into my feeling, my energy body, and when I'm going into my praying, that's when I'm shown the axis of the Earth pointing at the pole star, and the energy body of the Earth lining up in this particular way with the light grid of existence. Okay, an astrological chart doesn't show that, right? I mean, you might be able to see Polaris, but Polaris shows up as being at 28 degrees of Gemini. The chart doesn't convey, well, no, it's actually where the axis of the Earth is aligned. So you don't feel the fullness, the totality of the 3-dimensional or like infinite dimensional reality of the feeling body, the energy body of the whole moment of that particular solstice moment. So this is just, it feels like just one teeny tiny example of like a bigger point I'm making, which is more and more and more, it feels so important to be dropping into what is alive for you? How does this feel for you? What is the wisdom of your full being when you come to any particular moment? If you're thinking about the astrology, and if you're not thinking about the astrology, right? It's like our rational, logical mind can have all kinds of amazing insights. It's incredibly valuable. And at the same time, when we open up to the full medicine of the being that is ourselves, that is existence, that is this earth, that is the divine, that is everything, that's when so much more comes alive. The real magic, the real full essence of what's meant to be in this moment can come alive fully, as us, as each other, as all of it. Yeah. Okay. I think that's my main point. And yeah, so please, please, please definitely join me for the solstice gathering on Thursday, December 21st, 10 a.m. Pacific, which is 1 p.m. Eastern, 6 p.m. UK time, 7 p.m. Central European time. And it'll be recorded. So even if that's the middle of the night for you, please register anyway, and I will send you the recording, and you'll have access to it indefinitely. And I think it's going to be a really magical, beautiful time together. So I would love to see you there. And very good. I will see you all soon. Be in touch anytime you like.